Well, good morning officially to everyone here in the US, and good afternoon to everyone in Europe. Thanks so much for joining us. We are delighted to welcome you to the first episode of Encore Live. So we hope that as you all strive to find creative ways to rehearse together and hopefully soon are able to come together again and perform in front of live audiences, that this and future episodes of Encore Live will interest, inform and inspire. So without further ado, I would like to introduce your host for today's webinar. He's a very special member of the Encore Tours family. He has traveled with over 2,000 US musicians across over 40 Encore performance tours that he has managed. And he's coming to you from the surprisingly sunny southeast of England. Peter Eade.
Hello, welcome everybody. Welcome from Suffolk, where I think I'm on day 67 of lockdown now. I'm spending my lockdown with two very fluffy, very naughty collie dogs, who I'm using my time to train to howl the Moonlight Sonata in perfect harmony, remarkably with very little success so far. Now, just before I hand over and introduce our Viennese friends, I just want to do a couple of housekeeping points. They are to mention that everybody is muted. We can't see you, so if you're sitting in your pajamas, that's perfectly fine. But there is a question and answer interface at the bottom of your screen, hopefully, Q&A. And if any questions come up that you have during the course of this, please feel free to type your question and we will answer them either as we go or at the end. Okay, without further ado, let me move over and introduce our manager of Encore operations in Vienna. He's so well known in Viennese musical circles that he counts the president of the Vienna Boys Choir as a personal friend. And every year at the New Year's concert, the final march, the Radetzky March, is personally dedicated to him. Oh no, I may have made that bit up. Anyway, here he is, Herbert Conrad.
Hello from Vienna. Hello everyone, very, very pleased to meet you. Greetings from a lovely musical city.
Excellent, hello Herbert. And then we have somebody else from Vienna too. She is our woman on the ground who makes the music happen, makes the magic happen. She organizes lots of the actual operational details of the tours. She is also incredibly well connected in musical circles. She holds the keys to St. Stephen's Cathedral. And that wasn't a lie, she actually does have the keys to it. And she is our roving reporter, Theresa Konrad-Karstens.
Hello, my name is Theresa. I'm here in the city center of Vienna, the capital of music. Everything is open again. We are here in the stables of the Spanish Riding School. See you later for a city walk.
Wonderful. Okay, Herbert, I should just mention, by the way, that Theresa's segments are videoed because she's out on the street, so she's not live. Herbert obviously is live, as am I. Okay, so Herbert, we are still very much in lockdown in the UK. We've got the exciting news, I'm allowed to see my friends for the first time after 67 days, as long as we sit out in the garden 2 meters apart as of today. That's the extent of the loosening of the lockdown in the UK to date. Are you seeing any light at the end of the tunnel over in Vienna? Theresa just mentioned things are open, so could you tell us a little bit more?
Very thankfully, we do see the light at the end of the tunnel. In the middle of May, we opened the shops. Slowly, students, pupils could go to school again. Still, you can walk around. People just enjoy tremendously to go to the places again where they used to go to every day, that they can go shopping, that they can do the necessary things of every day, and especially meet their friends again.
Okay, fantastic. So quite quite a difference to us at this stage. I understand that you've prepared a little video, I think last week, showing you out about in Vienna, giving us a sense of what things are like. So if we could, Encore in Boston, if you could play that, please, that would be great.
Hello everyone! Today I'm greeting you from the heart of Vienna, St. Stephen's Square, where we're back to almost normal after 8 weeks of complete lockdown because of COVID-19. Bars, restaurants, shops are open, life is normal, public transport is running again, and our beloved coffee house is reopened as well, serving what we have been waiting for weeks. Our beloved Sachertorte with whipped cream. Here we started our day in the cathedral, attending one of the 4 morning services. We enjoyed the music of Mozart, Haydn and others, all composers closely linked to our cathedral. Here we are also preparing our next concerts, which will take place soon. And it will be even more adventurous than ever before, because then the new organ with more than 12,500 pipes will be ready to be played. The sculpture of the Fenstergucker and me, we were all waiting for guests, but today the borders to Germany, Switzerland, the Czech Republic, Hungary, Slovenia, Slovakia, Liechtenstein opened again for regular traffic. So I'm sure we will see you soon here in Austria. But today we will have to do something else which is very urgent for me and my family. Come along and join us.
And first things go first. My first Wiener Schnitzel after 8 weeks. It will be tasteful. I love it. See you soon.
Wow. I actually have to say I feel a little bit emotional seeing that. I should be in Vienna right at this moment on tour with a group, and it's quite extraordinary to see. So different to hear. One of the things that struck me there seems to be remarkably little mask wearing. What is the situation with masks in Vienna? Are people wearing them? Is it a requirement to? Well, clearly it can't be a requirement. What is the situation on it?
You will find every person having a mask in a pocket somewhere, but you are only wearing the mask, or it's mandatory to wear the mask as soon as you enter closed rooms. So if you go into the restaurant, you will have to wear the mask. If you go to a shop, you have to wear the mask. But as long as you are outdoors, you are free, and this is your decision if you would like to go with or without a mask. We much more try to tell the people that keeping distance is the important thing, and there we normally talk about the 1 meter distance, so about 3 feet distance, which we should keep.
That's interesting. Here it's double that, and in the United States it's double that. It's 6 feet. So obviously taking a little bit more of a cautious line. That's interesting. And of course, Vienna. Vienna is nothing without music. Vienna is the city of music. I imagine that there is an enormous pent-up desire, alongside eating the Sacher cake and the Wiener Schnitzel, to have some music, some live music back in people's lives. Can you give us an update on what the situation is? Are there any concerts starting up, or any rehearsals starting up? What's the kind of timeline for that?
For 8 weeks, there was absolutely nothing, and people were waiting and waiting for it. Artists were thinking about new concepts as soon as the opening would happen. And indeed, now the opening finally happened. Today is the first day of a small performance in the Wiener Musikverein, in the Grand Hall, the Golden Hall of the Musikverein, and they will actually perform every evening until the end of June, which is the regular end of their performance season. And you will have the Vienna Philharmonics, the Vienna Symphonic, Daniel Barenboim, Manfred Honeck, so quite important names performing, though for a small number of audience. At the moment, we are limited to 100 people in the concert hall, but this is going to increase quite quickly until the end of June.
Right. Wow. And are the audience required to wear masks at all? Is there distancing in terms of where they're sitting? Presumably that's to do with the capacity.
It is required that you wear your mask. I think this is just a thing of social safety as well, and you have to keep distance. Normally, they keep the pattern like imagine a chess game where only on the black fields people would be standing or would be sitting, and so you normally have to keep one seat free next to you, except you are sitting with a person who is living in the same household like you.
Sure. Okay. Again, just an unfathomable world of difference to the situation here. Everything's closed. This isn't even on the radar yet. I don't know if our listeners are familiar with the press conferences which Chancellor Merkel has been holding in Germany, but it's been reported here. It's very fascinating. She obviously has her doctorate in quantum chemistry, and it's incredibly scientifically based. I know that Austria is very similar to your German cousins, that you like a nice scientific basis for things. Is this being done on the rationale, opening up concerts again, allowing audiences in? Is this being done because you have so few cases, or is it being done on some kind of scientific basis that they think there actually isn't a risk or a significant risk of transmission and a risk to the musicians themselves from playing alongside each other? Mm-hmm. Do you know anything about that?
I know a few things about it. The first steps were certainly taken, like opening the shops, opening the churches again, were taken because of a very, very low rate of sick people, ill people, very few numbers of infected people, and very low numbers of people who actually became seriously ill because of that. Then the big battle started that we cannot live without our music, we cannot live without our culture. And so the artists actually started very, very quickly to work on possibilities to prove that music is nothing dangerous. And first of all, or ranking first, were the Vienna Philharmonics Orchestra. They introduced a study, an aerosol study, which was even guided and checked and controlled by a lawyer who had then to state that everything was done correctly. And they showed with this aerosol test how far actually the breath of a musician would go. And believe it or not, the furthest distance it would reach was the flute player, and this reached something like 90 centimeters. The breath reached 90 centimeters, so not even 3 feet together. And just today it was announced that also the Choral Society of Austria has done a similar test. But I think the really key to opening for concerts and then having the possibility to go to the Salzburg Festival, have performances, was this study of the Vienna Philharmonic Orchestra.
Okay, fascinating. So an actual proper scientific basis to this. I'm seeing something flashing up on my screen. I've got two things. One is that you can read more about the study on the Encore website. The other thing is I've had a message from Encore Boston that you've actually got some slides to show us on this. So I wonder if we could pass over to them. Okay, that's, yeah, fascinating. And as I say, apparently there is more information available on this on the Encore website, although it may currently be in German, the link. But in any case, the slides are available. We've had a question from Paige Long. Thank you, Paige. What about choirs and ensembles? Since these types of music require expelling droplets into the air, how is this being managed, or is it not yet happening? I think you just touched on that, didn't you, Herbert, before we went into the slideshow? You said who was it, the Viennese?
The Choral Association did a test, did an aerosol test as well, and they announced that it doesn't make any difference if you're talking or if you're singing. It will always be the same. And when we are talking about choirs, by the way, some of the choirs did start with rehearsals like a week ago, but they normally started in sections. And one of the choirs, Cantus Novus, they found a huge room in a church, 120 square meters, and there they are with 12 people rehearsing in their section, and very happy with that, and but waiting to get together as a complete choir again. As a result of that as well, we have permission now to do choir singing in our music lectures at schools as well. This will start with the beginning of next week.
That's high schools?
That's high schools, yes.
Okay, so that's very significant for us as well. Great. Could I just ask also, back on the slides, the strange nose things that they're wearing, cannulas, that isn't a requirement, that was just purely for the basis of the experiment, presumably. That was the thing which enabled the vapors to be measured, is that correct?
It's correct. The musicians were not born like it, and they will not wear it during the next performances, actually. It is the aerosol which is brought into the nose of the musicians and then goes the way of the breath through the instrument. And as being in a very dark room, then the aerosol would show how far the breath goes. Yeah, so only for the scientific reasons.
Okay, that's kind of what I assumed, but just wanted to make sure.
You're absolutely right.
Thank you, Herbert. Okay, we are going to come back to you because there are a load more questions, but we're going to take a brief excursion and pop over to, I understand Theresa has the video that she mentioned before, doing a bit of a walkabout around on the streets of Vienna. So if we could switch over to that, that would be great, please.
So here we are again at Kohlmarkt. This is part of the pedestrian zone. As you can see, everything normal, people strolling around. This is one of the most fancy shopping streets we have here in the city center. We start our little city walk here with Hofburg, Imperial Palace of the Habsburg family. The Imperial Palace was built for many centuries, and just in front of us we see the most modern part, which was done in the end of the 19th, beginning of the 20th century. Exactly at that place where you see the huge dome, in former times there was a theater, and this was very important for the musical history of Vienna. It was the theater of the court, and many pieces were premiered here, like Mozart's La Nozze di Figaro, Così fan tutte, or Haydn, the Emperor's hymn, that was composed for the birthday of the Emperor Francis II of Habsburg. We will enter now to St. Michael's Church. St. Michael's Church, a very beautiful church from Gothic times, and inside there's a monument that I want to show you. This is also musically related. By the way, Haydn just lived around the corner here, and he is also very much linked to St. Michael's Church and has played the beautiful Baroque organ here, the hugest organ we have in Vienna, with 3 manuals and 40 stops. Let's enter and be quiet, as the service will start in some minutes. Here we go. We immediately turn right hand side. I want to show you the monument. of Mozart. You will know that Mozart died in the night of the 5th of December. 5 days later, his funeral mass was in this church, as you can read here. On the 10th of December 1791, the funeral mass of Mozart took place, and for this they have taken the parts of the Mozart Requiem that he had already finished. With the end of Mozart's life, I also end my little city tour. Thank you, and I give back to Peter.
Wonderful. Thank you, Theresa. Again, just seeing Vienna is really, really quite wonderful. Amazing. You are staggeringly far ahead of where we are. Again, there are no services happening in Britain at all, no church services. There haven't been for this whole 67-day period. No set date when that's going to change. So I noticed a couple of people wearing masks there, sitting there, but yeah, services are on in the churches.
Yeah.
Okay. We have a not a question, but a comment from Sean Bulwer. Thank you, Sean. He says he's part of a think tank of scientists and musicians designing PPE, masks and singer barriers from the US, UK, Austria and Germany. We're finishing our recommendation for singers' masks that do not surround the jaw, but go all the way down to the chest in a bandana type. And the material being used is muslin, which is much lighter with little to no sound alteration and a huge amount of carbon dioxide disbursement. A list of recommendations will be published in about 2 weeks. So fantastic. Thank you, Sean. That's very good to know. Clearly, lots of actual scientific work is being done in this area, which is hugely encouraging. Yeah. Okay, Herbert, I mentioned Chancellor Merkel, and I would just like to answer, to ask a question myself. You mentioned borders are open between Germany and Austria. Obviously, Germany is another big destination of ours for musicians. Do you have any information on what the situation is like in Germany? Is it similar to Austria? Are concerts starting up again, rehearsals starting up?
As far as we know, they are a little bit behind us. Sometimes, very, very proudly, we hear that we have been very strong and strict from the very beginning. And step by step, also the situation is very much increasing and developing very well in Germany. And as I mentioned now, the borders for regular traffic are open. And they just announced that with the middle of June, 15th or 16th of June, they will also allow touristic travel to be back across these borders to and from the countries surrounding Austria. So we are talking about Germany, we are talking about the Czech Republic, Slovenia, Slovakia, Switzerland, Liechtenstein, for example. So all lined up, and I think everyone here is waiting to get on a train or get into the car and just go across the border, see the friends in Germany, Switzerland, or in the Czech Republic.
Yeah. Well, of course, that is that's huge. You mentioned right at the start something about the Salzburg Festival, because of course a vast number of the guests to the Salzburg Festival are actually from just across the border in Germany. Could you tell us a bit about the plans for the festival? Is that happening at all? Is it going ahead in a skeleton form? What's the intention with that?
People very often say Austrians are very good in improvising. So also the Salzburg Festival will be kind of improvised. Instead of 200 performances, it will be limited to 90 performances. And as many other performances, there will be some outdoors as well. And also other festivals go outdoors. We have the open air opera in Gars. We have the Graveneck Festival with Rudolf Buchbinder, the pianist, as the director of it. It will run in August, and as most of it is outdoor, they will have permission for up to 1,250 people in the audience.
Gosh, of course, there is this tradition in Europe, as our participants will no doubt be aware of, much more of doing outdoor performances. So I suppose it's natural to seg into that. That's much more part of the cultural tradition, doing performances outdoors. Are you witnessing that in general, that things seem the intention is to head that? Well, obviously performances aren't happening just yet, but is that the direction it's going, at least for the summer, that the intention will be more to do outdoor things?
I think we will see it more often than we probably did before, but many of our places are prepared for it. If you look to the Lake District around Salzburg, for example, in every little village, on every lake, you will find beautiful pavilions for open air performances, bands, choirs, and orchestras. Pavilions big enough, and then big space in front of it for the audience. So everything is prepared for it. And as we're all keen on having these performances, I think it will be more this year than it was before.
Yeah, okay. I just have one last question before I wrap up. I can see there are no other questions that have come up from the participants. It is specifically the Vienna Opera. What is the situation there? Because obviously the Vienna Opera is indoors. What are the intentions with the Vienna Opera and such a centerpiece of Viennese cultural life? What are the plans? Are there any plans to start that up again?
The plans are not to start before September, October, when the regular time of performances would start again. I think it's very, very difficult at the moment to start with these big opera productions and then have a limitation of 100. Next step will be 250. Next step will be 500. But then the regular season of the opera will be over by the end of June. And besides that, we just have a change of the director, of the manager of the State's Opera. So I think they will simply hand over and he will start with his new playing time in October.
Right, so there has been a natural break anyway, which is a kind of handy coincidence.
More or less, yes.
Yeah. Okay, wonderful. Well, this has been absolutely fascinating. It kind of takes me aback, to be quite honest. Just what we are experiencing, and I'm sure many of obviously it varies state to state, but many of our participants in the States will be having a similar reaction. Thank you so much. Oh, what's this? I have a question. I was just about to stop. Hello, Charlotte. Hello, Charlotte. Lovely to see you too. Yes, thank you so much, Herbert. Thank you, Theresa. Please also thank Florian, who I understand was doing the video of Theresa out on the street. And the participants, thank you very much for joining us. Please do remember to check out encoretours.com, and there is going to be a list of future Encore live events on there. We very much hope you've enjoyed today, and come back and join us once more. Thank you all very much.